How we spend our days is of course how we spend our lives. The life you want is closer than you think. It's easy to feel discouraged by comparing where you are now and where you want to be. But there's really only one thing in your way, which is how you spend your days. And so to achieve what you want, you need to learn how to have a good day every single day. Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Dan. I'm a productivity geek based in Lisbon, and on this channel we explore the strategies and tools to work smarter and be more productive. In this video, I'm going to give you my top takeaways from my favorite productivity book, How to Have a Good Day by Caroline Webb. I'm going to talk about how to increase your results by shifting your intentions, an easy system for successful problem solving, and so many other productivity nuggets. So make sure you stick until the end of this video to learn how you can craft better days in your life. And so let's get started by talking about how to optimize for discovery mode. So let's start by talking about our brains. Our brains have two systems, always competing with each other, the automatic system and the deliberate system. So the automatic part of your brain is the one responsible for quick reactions in fight or flight situations. For example, when you're crossing the road and you see a car coming at you, the automatic brain kicks in and you move out of the way. And for that reason, this is also called the defensive mode. It's that anxiety that you get when you get caught off guard. For example, when you receive an email from your boss telling you that you missed an important deadline. Now, in many situations, the defensive mode, the automatic mode, is very important. For one, it keeps you from getting killed.
Not getting killed.
But when it comes to our work, the automatic behavior of our brain makes you less proactive, less focused on your objectives, and overall less smart. And the reason for that is because the brain automatically assumes something. Your judgment tends to be clouded automatically by that behavior. Now, the opposite of that, which is the deliberate system, is also called the discovery mode. It's when you're not reacting to things automatically, but instead you're able to think and decide clearly. And so to have better days, you want to try to stay in discovery mode as much as possible. So how do you exactly stay in discovery mode? One of the solutions is by seeking out rewards. In other words, you want to try to look for the rewards in the situation that you're facing. If you can find a way to tempt your brain's reward system with something valuable, you're more likely to respond to a tough situation with the benefit of staying in the discovery mode. So here's an example. Let's say you need to do some business research and that you find this task a little bit boring. And because you want to try to stay in discovery mode, now you're thinking of the reward of that boring task. And this could mean, for example, better knowledge of your industry or your company.
General knowledge?
So when you're faced with a boring task, make a list of all the rewards that you can have by completing that task. And then while doing that task, keep in mind those rewards, because this will help your brain stay in discovery mode. All right, let's move on to number 2, the intention setting routine. So now that you're aware of the two systems of your brain, it also helps to understand that we're all living our own private reality. And that reality is shaped by our hard-working automatic systems attempts to allocate our attention to the right things. For example, when you're driving, you don't really pay attention to the cars coming on the opposite direction. You simply focus on the cars on your lane, the cars in front of you. Now, why is that? The reason is your brain is automatically filtering out all the information that you need, like the cars coming in the opposite direction. The same principle is applied to our days. We miss a big opportunity if we block out the world out of our mind and simply let the days happen to us. So how can we solve this and become a little bit more intentional with our days? In the book, Webb talks about being more deliberate by setting up perceptual filters. And that's where an intention setting routine, one that's going to help you pay explicit attention to the priorities, concerns, and moods we're carrying into our day. And as we change our intentions, our brain's filters change, and the facts can appear to change with them. So as an exercise, it helps to look at your intentions at the beginning of each day. And you can do this by looking at your day from 3 different angles. The first is aim. Think about the most important activities that you have to do today, the people that you'll meet, the task that you need to do. What really matters most in making them a success? That's your real aim of your day. The second one is your attitude. As you think about the upcoming workday, take a moment and acknowledge the concerns that are dominating your thoughts and dominating your moods. Do these concerns help you achieve your real aim? And if not, how can you set them aside, at least for now? The third and final thing is your attention. Given your real priorities, where do you want to focus your attention? Figure out what you want to do more of, and then make sure you look out for it. By doing this simple exercise every day, you craft better intentions for your day, and then all you need to know is how to stay on the right path. So setting your intentions for the day is one thing, but then keeping them throughout the day is another game altogether. So even when you have the best intentions, sometimes you might feel your day slipping away from you. Carl from the sales department comes in and needs help for the next 2 hours. And so when you go back to your desk, you feel frustrated. You see the clock ticking and you don't have time for all the tasks that you said you were going to do. And so what happens at this point is you lose all your intention and go into defensive mode again. And so in How to Have a Good Day, Webb recommends a lot of exercises. But the one that was the most enlightenment to me was making mental cues. So what are mental cues? cues. Mental cues are phrases or even just words that remind you of your intentions throughout the days. It's something that you can go back to when you feel your day is derailing. So in the beginning of every day, just think of one word or maybe one sentence that you can refer back to if needed when you become frustrated in your day. The other way to think about mental cues is also by thinking about your environment. So the environment plays a large role in our productivity. And so for example, in the morning, if I come into my desk and I see all this clutter around, or I have a lot of open tabs from the previous day, that's going to make it a lot harder for me to get started. In the same way, if I need something and I need to get up to get it, that's going to be really frustrating for me. So actually, that's one of the reasons why I always have this Moleskine book here on my desk. There's no friction to simply write down what I want because it's always on my desk. The same is true for my headphones, for example. So how can you minimize the friction in your environment and make it work for you rather than against you? Make a list of all the things that you need to get up or the documents that you need and how you can organize them in a way that's going to help feature you get started in a task. The third golden nugget from how to have a good day are the brain-friendly to-do lists. So to-do lists are very useful to organize your work throughout the day. But here's the problem. To-do lists are not optimized for how your brain works. And so when that happens, you lose focus and again get into defensive mode. So to craft better to-do lists, brain-friendly to-do lists, you need to keep 5 things in mind. The first one is to write it down as soon as it comes into your mind. Never waste your brain's precious working memory by trying to hold into your task or into your ideas in your own head. As David Allen says in Getting Things Done, your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. So immediately capture your ideas. The way that I do this is through a brain dump. I have a video about that. You can check it here if you want. There. The second thing to keep in mind is to only keep today's tasks in view. So often when we're doing our list, we just keep adding stuff to it and adding stuff to it and adding stuff to it. And then it's a little bit overwhelming to see all the things that you have to do in the near future.
It took me so long to do so many important things.
The way to solve this is to break this into multiple lists. One is just what do you need to do today? That is the only list that you should be seeing right now. And then you can organize everything that you have to do maybe later in the week or maybe next month into different lists. And then maybe next month you can go back into that list and put it in today's list. The third rule is to make it satisfying to check off. So why do we like to-do lists so much? One of the reasons is that satisfaction of crossing an item once you've completed that task. And so if you do this by pen and paper, it's really easy to do. But sometimes when you do this online, you don't really have that satisfaction, that dopamine hit of yes, I've completed that task. So if you're using a to-do list manager, make sure there's a box to tick to give you that satisfaction even when you're doing it online. The more rewarding it feels to track your progress, the more your brain will stay motivated and tend you to spur into action. The fourth rule is to be realistic about what you can do in your day. And this is the hardest one for me. I always think that I can do more things in the limited time that I have. So yes, progress feels good for your brain, but failure does not. And so when you go at the end of the day, look at your to-do list, and there's so many items there that you still have to do, it feels very frustrating. And then if you carry them to the next day, it feels overwhelming when you start because you already have so much stuff to do. So keep in mind to always be realistic about what you can achieve in one single day. And so the last thing is to include body-mind maintenance. And here the exercise is very simple. Just put exercise, rest, and other health goals that you might have on your list alongside all the other tasks. The reality is if you write down, I'm gonna take a walk as a task, you're more likely to do that. All right, let's move on to number 4. Assume good person, bad circumstances. So most of our days are spending communicating with other people, replying to emails, having meetings, and giving feedback. And with so many interactions, there will be a moment where there will be some tension.
Attention, there's tension?
So you need to learn how to navigate that kind of tension if you want to have a good day. And one of the most insightful advice from the book is to always take a step back and assume this is a good person, they're just in a bad place right now. The reality is that we judge other people more harshly than we judge ourselves. It's simply how our brain's automatic system is wired. It tries to seek out the simplest explanation. So instead of immediately jumping into conclusions, avoid that by first identifying the true facts. The facts that you truly do know for sure.
What are the figures? What are the facts?
Remember how even our factual perception is subjective. And then once you've done that, consider potential explanations for his or her bad behavior. Think about what could have triggered their defenses. Put yourself literally in their shoes. How are they reacting this way? And more importantly, why are they reacting that way? Remember, they also have automatic systems. And by taking a step back and thinking about the situation that the other person might be in, will help you discern what's really factual and what's only your opinion. All right, let's move on to number 5, to solve problems with the issue tree. So we all like the feeling of solving difficult problems, but the more complex the problem, the more likely you feel stuck and procrastinate. And so a solution to structure your thinking when you have a difficult problem is by drawing an issue tree. So let's let's look at a particular example. Let's say you are asking yourself, how can I increase profits? So first you write down that question, and then you think logically, what are all the options that I can pursue to solve that problem? Okay, so profit is revenue minus expenses. So there are two ways to grow profit. You can increase your revenue or you can decrease your expenses. Maybe you can even do both. So you write that down as two branches of your tree. The first one being increase revenue, the second one being decreasing expenses. So now you have two branches, right? Then zoom in on just one of them. All right, how can you decrease expenses? So now you got to think, what are the expenses that I might have? Can I organize them by category? Maybe you have marketing costs, maybe you have personnel costs, maybe you have software, contractors, and so many more things. So now each one of those becomes a new branch on your issue tree. And you just keep going and going until you get to a point where you find a solution to your problem. I do this exercise a lot in my business when I'm doing a brain dump. I start from a very generic thing and then I branch out to all the things that are included in that main thing. So the next time you have a very complex problem, just try to solve it with an issue tree. And if you want to craft an even better environment for your work, you can go watch this video where I talk about everything that is on my productivity desk. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.